The sharp roar of an SUV tearing through the northern pasture jolted John Parker from his Texas porch as the early morning sun cast a golden glow across his 200-acre ranch. A reckless sound that sent a shiver through the cool April air, his rifle resting beside him as the coffee mug sat steady on the weatherboards. The lake's silver surface shimmering faintly in the distance, its calm a stark contrast to the tension knotting his gut. He stood tall, his heart pounding like a war drum in his chest. The burn scar on his forearm throbbing with a dull ache as he watched the vehicle flatten rows of young wheat, crashing into Old Rusty, the ranch's beloved Scarecrow. With a brutal snap of wood and straw, the SUV barely slowing as Rusty's head flew off, landing on the hood like a grim warning, John's jaw slacking as Melissa Carter, the driver, reversed over the remains for good measure, speeding off as if she hadn't just executed a scarecrow in cold daylight. The wildflowers along the pasture's edge trembling in the morning breeze. Their vibrant colors a quiet promise of peace had fought to maintain, the faint lowing of cattle and the rustle of leaves drowned by the fading growl of her engine. A sign of trouble that echoed across the plains. After the legal victory over the Redstone Cattle Syndicate, where John's land grant had saved the ranch, had hoped for a season to mend the ranch's wounds and Ethan's resolve, but now the air thrummed with danger, a new threat rising from the shadows of his past. And he'd face it with the steel of his 54 years, the plains stretching wide and unbroken, the wildflowers enduring despite the storms that had come before. Old Rusty had watched over this land long before Melissa arrived with her polished McMansion and corporate swagger, tied to Grayson's network, a dark echo of the past, Rusty weathered. One button eye gone, straw poking from his sleeves, but he had soul, every kid in Redstone knowing him, every bird respecting him, come Harvest Festival standing front and center, freshly painted with a goofy grin, as much a part of the ranch as the creaky barn or the rusty tractor that still grumbled to life on chilly mornings. The lake glowing gold as the sun climbed higher, its surface a mirror of the peace Melissa sought to shatter. To Melissa, though, Rusty was a blight, an eyesore, Shed sneered during her rare visits to John's fence line. Having moved in 6 months ago, snagging the old Hensley place across the road, hell-bent on turning the town into her corporate vision. Rules, clipped hedges, and all, wildflowers, rustic charm. And scarecrows, not her style. John figuring Shed soften. Small-town life, often mellowing the rigid. But Melissa didn't bend, she calcified, first griping about his fence, too rustic. Not her modern ideal. Then claiming Rusty spooked her yippee dog, a fluffball on stilts, by her third visit, not suggesting but ordering, John brushing her off, rancher style. But Melissa not taking kindly to being dismissed, the wildflowers along the fence line trembling in the breeze, the plains pulsing with the weight of history, their roots deep in the Texas soil. That's when the chaos kicked off, the first time Rusty went down, John chalking it up to a fluke, tire tracks in the mud, maybe a slippery turn after rain, rebuilding him. Not perfect but upright by dusk, 2 days later, flat again, tire marks tracing back to Melissa's drive, her SUV's bumper print stamped on his chest like a calling card. John might have laughed if it wasn't so maddening. At the general store, Melissa smirking, maybe put him somewhere safer, winking, John not one to brawl over straw and sticks. But not letting folks trample his land either, Rusty family, crafted by his dad when John was a kid chasing calves barefoot, every dent, every patch telling a tale, twice in a week. Melissa crushed him. That night, porch sitting as the sun dipped, John knowing this wasn't ending with a chat, Shed drawn first blood, grinning like Shed just begun. The lake glowing silver in the distance, its calm a distant promise amidst the storm to come. Strike 3 hit Saturday while John was in town grabbing supplies, Melissa finishing Rusty off. John coming home to straw, splintered wood, and a shred of his flannel flapping in the breeze. Worse, a note pinned where head stood, in bold, loopy scrawl, "Get a real decoration." Melissa, anger surging, not just for Rusty, but for her gall, thinking she could waltz in and rule his land. Maybe it was time to show her some folks fight quiet. The wildflowers along the pasture's edge trembling in the breeze, the plains stretching wide and unbroken, their roots deep in the Texas soil. John hauled Rusty's remains to the barn, setting them on his dad's old workbench, tools and half-done projects still scattered. Seeing it, Melissa hadn't just smashed a scarecrow. She had given him a reason to play by ranch rules she didn't quit. Rusty's demise fueling her, John patching him up again, her waiting for a stormy night. Lightning flashing as John found him face down, shredded in mud, tire ruts from her place glowing in the rain. Her taillights fading smugly into the dark. Next morning, waving from her porch, leopard robe, coffee in hand, like she hadn't played crash derby on his field, this about power now, testing his limit. Folks wiser than coyotes knowing when to stop. Melissa didn't, word spreading, Clara at the saloon grinning, handing him nails, Scarecrow trouble, Frank at the general store whispering, need help rebuilding him? John appreciating it, but this is to settle. Melissa cruising by nightly, first slowing, smirking at Rusty's limp form, second yelling, give it up, ranch guy, spraying gravel, peeling out. John saying nothing, gears turning, the fourth hit, parking on him, phone in hand, casual as if his field were her lot. John staring from the porch until she left. Rusty pulped beneath her tires, the lake shimmering faintly beyond the ridge, its surface a mirror of the hope that endured. That night, barn steps under him, wind thick with earth and hay. John recalling his dad, every problem's got a fix, be patient. Had been patient, too patient, sitting there, eyeing the barn's padlocked workshop, it clicking his dad, teaching him welding, shaping metal to endure. If it shouldn't break, don't build it like it will. Next on, opening that door, oil and memory wafting out, the welder sitting under a tarp. Steel pipes and scraps solid beneath dust. Everything he needed, sketching the new Rusty, same hat, flannel, straw outside, inside a steel spine, welded arms base sunk 2 feet deep. Melissa's SUV meeting its match, disguised as the old Scarecrow, sparks flying as he worked, radio humming. Melissa driving by, likely expecting defeat, John not looking up, letting her think shed one, rumors swirling, steel pipe in his truck, sparking talk of fences or surrender. Sheriff Hargrove and Clara shooting knowing glances but staying mum, John welding late. Frogs croaking, stars blazing, each joint a vow to his dad, the land, every soul facing a Melissa, Rusty becoming a monument, the wildflowers along the barn's edge trembling in the night breeze. The plains pulsing with the weight of history, their roots deep in the Texas soil. Finished, Rusty looked unchanged, flannel, jeans, stitched grin, but steel hum beneath bolted firm. Arms unyielding, standing at dawn where head always been. John sipping coffee, fog lifting, waiting, Melissa wouldn't resist, coming fast, fog still thick, her SUV growling. John rocking on the porch as she squinted at Rusty, then gunning it, tearing through wheat straight for him, the crash thundering, her bumper crumpling, headlights bursting, airbags slamming her face. Rusty standing, hat askew but steady, steam hissing, crows flapping, John ambling over, coffee in hand, as Melissa wrestled the airbag, shrieking, "What did you do?" "Just put Rusty back," saying, her stumbling out, fender dangling, jabbing a finger. "You booby-trapped it. I'll sue vandalism, attempted murder." John stifling a laugh. "Murder? You drove onto my land to kill a scarecrow." Her face blazing. "I'll call the sheriff." "Please do," saying, an hour later, Sheriff Hargrove arriving, Melissa ranting, hopping mad, claiming head weaponized Rusty. Hargrove listening, then checking him, tugging sleeves, tapping the chest. Well-built Scarecrow, shrugging, sturdy but legal, Melissa gaping. "It's a death trap. You trespassed and hit an immovable object." Hargrove saying, "That's on you." Turning on John, "I'll sue you dry." "Good luck," John smiling. Hargrove ushering her off, hinting at trespassing charges. Her glaring from her wrecked SUV as the tow truck hauled it away. Townsfolk, Clara, Frank, Even Hargrove, watching, grinning, Melissa's shame public now, the lake glowing silver in the distance. It's come a beacon of the peace he fought for. Quiet followed, tense, expectant, Melissa holding up, curtains shut, no drives by, John tending fences, cattle, glancing at Rusty, steel beneath straw, guarding firm. Then came her counterattack, a wax-sealed letter, threatening lawsuits, endangerment, distress, claiming Head rigged Rusty to ruin her, John laughing over coffee, filing it with junk mail. She had no case, just desperation after wrecking her SUV in pride, but had been ready since Rusty first fell, Sheriff Hargrove dropping by, casual in jeans, with Clara, sandwiches in hand. She's filling charges, saying endangerment, damage, manslaughter for a Scarecrow. John chuckling, Hargrove smirking, Melissa logic, John handing him a thumb drive, trail cams, barn footage, GoPros capturing every hit, her grins, the note, "You sure?" Hargrove asking, time she learns, saying, by week's end, Melissa bragging at the saloon about burying him in court, then mid-Saturday. Papers hitting her outside the general store, trespassing, destruction, harassment, endangerment, her jaw dropping, silence deafening, the town humming, church potlucks, gas stations abuzz. Her corporate allies ousting her, insurance ditching her, fees piling up, the wildflowers along the street's edge trembling in the breeze, the plains stretching wide and unbroken, their roots deep in the Texas soil. 2 weeks later, Melissa packed a rental SUV, solo, frantic, bins and bags stuffed in, John watching from the fence as she fled, dust trailing, neighbors peering. Relief thick, she was gone, Rusty standing proud, sporting a sheriff's badge from Hargrove, unofficial but a town laugh, that sunset, orange and pink, John toasting Rusty from the porch. Good work, pal. The ranch breathing easy, Melissa's storm past, Rusty, steel-hearted, not just a Scarecrow, proof. Stand quiet, stand strong, and you win, John rebuilding him anytime. But Shed never dare return. The lake glowing gold outside as the last rays of dusk faded, the wildflowers enduring despite the storm, their roots deep in the Texas soil. The crew gathered in the yard, coffee steaming in mugs, the air thick with the scent of roasted beans and the faint tang of dust that clung to their clothes. Ethan slouched in a chair, his face steady. Trust forged in the fight's fire, the map spread wide across the table. The northern pasture marked in red ink, a testament to the day's victory. The lantern light casting long shadows over their weary faces. The lake glowing gold outside as the last rays of dusk faded, the plains stretching wide and unbroken, wildflowers battered but enduring, their roots deep in the Texas soil. Melissa's down, Frank said, leaning back, his pistol gleaming on his hip, his voice gravelly but sure. But Grayson's still breathing, he's a shadow we can't shake. Mary Ellen poured coffee, her hand firm, her voice edged with steel. Rusty held. Your fight's a wall, John. We'll stand. Jake grinned, his fists unclenching, dust still smudged on his face. We broke her. Ethan, too. He's steel now. Sarah nodded from the corner, her phone glowing with Hargrove's last update, her voice resolute. Sheriff's hunting. Melissa's trail's cold. We'll find a route. Matt tapped his laptop, fingers pausing as he met John's gaze, his tone sharp. She was tied to Dallas cash. Grayson's deep. I'll trace it. Won't stop till we know. Tom stood by the door, lantern dimming, his broad frame a silent pillar, his voice low but firm. I'll watch the ridge. Plains are clear, but eyes ain't. John met Ethan's gaze across the table. The boy's eyes steady despite the weight of the day, his hands still steady from the fight, and John's voice cut through the room like steel tempered in fire. You held today. Fought like a Parker. That's good. Keep it up, Ethan. The Scarecrow's just the start. We've got more coming. Ethan swallowed hard, nodding slow, his voice quiet but raw. I will. Dad, swear it. No more running. The room fell silent. The lake glowing silver outside as the night deepened, the plains stretching wide and unbroken, wildflowers battered but enduring, their roots deep in the Texas soil. John rose, rifle close, stepping onto the porch where the air smelled of earth and renewal, his eyes scanning the ridge where the fight had raged. The memory of Melissa's retreat a bitter taste on his tongue. The legacy of his past await head carry until the end. Across the horizon, a light blinking, binoculars catching the starlight, then vanishing into the trees, a shadow still breathing in the darkness, a reminder that the fight was far from over, the wildflowers along the plain's edge blooming anew, their colors vibrant in the Texas night, the lake glowing silver in the distance. It's come a testament to the peace John had won, but the storm on the horizon a promise of battles yet to come. Rusty standing tall in the northern pasture, steel beneath straw, a silent guardian of the land, a symbol of the fight John would never back down from. The plains pulsing with the weight of history. The wildflowers enduring despite the storm, their roots deep in the Texas soil.